I want to make a comment on the Chick-fil-A. That stupid story. Oh, God, I don't know if you've heard about this in Iran or Iraq, who watches me, but there's a big to-do about nothing here in the United States. The CEO of Chick-fil-A, which is a chicken house that cooks chicken and sells it to people, he made a comment that basically their business adheres to the Bible's definition of marriage. Now, I don't know if that's the Abraham and Hagar way of marriage, or King David's marriage and concubines and Delilah, her marriage. You know, I read the Bible. Most people haven't, I'm sure. And I don't know. Anyway, here's my opinion, which is the worst shit. When it comes to gay people, I've only had contact with gay people a couple of times. One of them is I used to teach dance at Arthur Murray Dance Studio in downtown Salt Lake City. And one of the main guys there that decided if you could get a job or not, and he could dance the girl's position perfectly, and he was testing me to say, you know, do you know really how to teach? Can you do the girls and the boys' position in several dances? And he danced with me, and in those days, it didn't occur to me he might be gay. It wasn't a big issue back then. It was, you know, everything was in the closet. And now that I look back on it, he was gay. There's no doubt about it. Well, he was one of the nicest human beings I've ever met. Now, I'm not going to go have a drink with him and go public dancing. This was in a studio. He was so sweet and so nice, and God, he could dance. These gay people, when it comes to arts and sciences and the choreography and dance and whatever, they are so talented. Well, anyway, then I'm so stupid. I moved in. I needed to get a cheaper place to live, and I moved in with this guy, and man, he was like a football player. Oh, buff and good looking, and really quite an opposite person from me. And he played classical piano just beautifully. Well, I moved in with him, and I didn't think anything about him until there were some guys starting to come over to the apartment all the time. I just thought he had a lot of friends. I'm so stupid, because I was a Mormon. I wasn't out in the real world. I didn't know how to perhaps spot somebody who was the same-sex marriage kind of a person, a homosexual or a lesbian. Those words were not even mentioned when I was growing up in the Mormon church. Well, anyway, these guys kept coming through, and they never sat in the living room and played the piano. Jeez. I should have thought something, but I didn't. And so they all went in his bedroom. Well, you know, what people do in their bedroom isn't my concern. But it became my concern, because eventually I found out he was advertising in the local newspaper under, I don't know, personals or masturbation. I don't know what subject he was in the paper. But anyway, his advertisement said, massage, full release. Well, when I read that, I thought, huh, full release must mean your stress is really gone. And I guess it was. I didn't know it was sexual stress. Now, I know you're looking at me thinking, what a dumb shit. But I was in the cult. I didn't know this. I wasn't out in the real world. And we didn't have a lot. We had some, I'm sure, scout leaders and whatever, but I wasn't trained to see it. So anyway, they kept parading in, and I confronted my roommate, and I said, listen, this full release massage, does this have anything to do with sex? It reminded me of a psychiatrist I went to once. Oh, God, I've been through 5 marriages, been fired, God, had all kinds of problems in my life. And he said to me, well, Has bipolar ever caused any kind of a problem in your life? I got up and left. I said, you are the stupidest bastard I have ever met. Of course it's caused problems. It's like going to the jail and talking to inmates and saying, what do you think about committing crimes? So anyway, I confronted him, and I said, well, you know, if this has to do with sexual stuff, it's against the law to put that in the paper because that's solicitation. He said, well, I make really good money. I said, well, could I do it too? Could I get a discount? 2 for 1, I am your roommate. Well, anyway, he and I had a discussion, and I was nervous. I thought the police or the DA or the Mormon bishop, the same thing, might show up and go, hey. So I let it go for a little while, a couple of months, and then he comes over to my room one day and he knocks on the door. So I brought him in, and he said, David, he says, do you know anything about unclogging sinks? I said, unclogging sinks? How did your sink get clogged? He goes, you don't want to know. I said, and I don't want to unclog it either. I was so stupid. I have to laugh being in the cult. I didn't know all this shit. I really didn't. So I told him, you know, politely, and we were pretty good friends, that I think I'm moving out. And he says, well, is that because I'm gay? And I said, no, you're not all that happy all the time. He says, no, I mean homosexual gay. Oh, I said, no. And the people that were coming to him were football players. These were people that basically were buff, good looking. I mean, they weren't the you know, effeminate and pansy kind of homosexual people. And so he told me, whether it's true or not, I'm just repeating what he said, that there are many sports individuals who are gay. And maybe that's why I didn't do well in sports. It's probably not, but I'm going to blame it on that. It couldn't be that I was lazy and I didn't want to sweat and I hated being away from the girls out on the football team. So anyway, I just thought I would voice my opinion on this Chick-fil-A controversy. Now, when you want to show support for this company, which there were a lot of people, they said they had a record turnout, and you show up with your family and your children and buy some chickens, and they count that as you being supportive of anti-same-sex religions and relationships. I hate being old. So anyway, like 100,000 people showed up to buy a chicken. They cut that chicken in a lot of little pieces. Well, that's okay, because they looked fairly acceptable. There was a mother, a father, and 2 or 3 little kids. Now that's not putting your life at risk buying a chicken sandwich. I'm suspecting, and I haven't seen the reports, they're coming in later tonight, that the kiss-in, I would have called it a kiss-off, but the gays are going, it's a kiss-in. And so now they're going over to Chick-fil-A, and they're going to kiss in the middle of the restaurant. Now, that is probably going to cause a little more attention than basically all these other people buying a chicken at a very low risk of being shot or beat up or laughed at or photographed with their children. So it was normal to buy a chicken with the heterosexual group, but these gay people showing up, holding hands and kissing, you're going to have a risk. If you're not out of the closet, you are now. So it seems to me it's unfair to say, well, gee, 100,000 showed up for heterosexual, so everybody's behind heterosexual. Well, I think those were the fanatics. I really do. To get out of your evening meal and say to the chicks or the children, we're going to bash the homosexuals. I want you to buy 10 sandwiches and show them you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for us. I don't know. to me, that's going too far. That's going too far. And then asking the gay community to respond by risking themselves and their safety and their jobs and all the other things that could possibly be going on. So let me summarize. I'm with some other people. I would go to Kentucky Fried Chicken. I feel pretty safe there. I don't think I'd have to bring my son and kiss him and demonstrate, you know, that I believe people should have freedom. I think it's a civil rights issue. I was young enough to be in the 1964 civil rights movement of the blacks. Back in those days, my friends, and you're all too young to remember any of that. It's already going to be in your history books. The blacks were or the whites felt that the blacks were too stupid to have a driver's license, that they weren't smart enough to even be able to drive. And in those days, if you were a black man and you were in certain cities, many cities in the South, and I drove through the South, what I've seen and heard with my own eyes, it said, you know, if you're a nigger, don't be in this town when the sun sets. And then I did see a lot of colored restrooms. I saw male, female, and colored. And when I went into the colored restrooms, or just peeked through the door, the toilet was broken, the sink was ripped off the wall, and it was filthy, just filthy. It was never clean. And I went to one gas station down there, and there's two black boys that were, well, men, but they were young. I'm calling them boys. They came out, and one of them pumped the gas, and I had a credit card, and I went inside to sign it. In those days, you had to sign. So I go in. He says, "What state are you from?" I said, "Utah." He says, "What?" I said, "Utah." He says, "I gotta go look." I said, "Okay." So he goes outside. His friend goes outside, and I'm standing there, and he goes, "I'll be damned. There is a state, Utah." I was there, folks. I saw Johnson's Great Society. I saw old black women sitting out on a porch on stilts in the swamp with 4 little babies that she's trying to breastfeed, and one man. I saw this civil rights issue. They couldn't vote. When you got on a bus, they had to sit in certain seats in the back of the bus. It was a terrible, terrible time in our country. I always felt that civil rights needed to be done. That was just my character, my personality. And I hired black men and women when I was in supervisory and director positions. If they were qualified, I hired them. And I worked in black communities, which was dangerous for a white man. I was taking care of black children in residential treatment, and shit, when they ran out the front door and ran away in a black neighborhood, as a white 200-pound male, I'm not going to chase an 8-year-old through a black neighborhood. Jeez. And the cars were stripped almost every night or stolen. You rode the bus to work, and there was just a lot of shootings and danger. Well, my point is this. It was a civil rights issue. When I saw the Olympics today, and I saw those little black girls from Nigeria and who knows, some of those countries that ran, oh my God, you know, they ran a whole circle around the white girls. Those people do good in sports. They run, they jump. They don't do well in swimming. I don't know. There was an old rumor that blacks sink in a pool. I don't know why. I would think that's true. They shouldn't sink any more than another human. But anyway, they're not in swimming, maybe because they're not around pools and down in the inner city that don't have BM floating on top of the surface. I don't know. Skiing and other kinds of white man sports. But obviously, Tiger Woods got into golf and made the white man look like a horse's ass. So it's obvious that they can drive cars. And they should be able to vote. And torching them with the KKK, with the crosses in their yards, burning their schools. You know, they got the same treatment in 1964 that gays are getting now in 2012. I think it's a civil rights issue. If the Mormons can marry, if Joseph Smith can have 35 wives and Brigham Young 57, who the hell is the Mormon Church to lecture the world on traditional marriage? Does that make sense to anybody? and marrying 14-year-old girls. Joseph Smith married 2, and I forget 2 or 3 or 4 16-year-olds, and then other men's wives who were already married and not divorced. So now the Mormons are going to stand up and say, we want traditional marriage. Bullshit. Bullshit. They don't want traditional marriage in a million years. They want you to vote for Mitt Romney so he can sneak around behind your back and change some things in this country. So to me, it's a civil rights issue. I didn't mind dancing with a gay guy. He never came on to me. And then after we danced, I didn't feel like going in the restroom with him like the Republicans do. They're the ones against gay marriage, and they're the ones caught in the Senate restrooms with each other. Mr. Weiner, you should have been tipped off in elementary school that Mr. Weiner may have some problems when he gets a little bit older. But anyway, it's civil rights. I don't care who marries who. Now, a lot of people will tell you the lie that the world will not have any more children, that there'll just be gay people wandering around the planet. Let me tell you something I learned in college. At BYU, no, this isn't one master's program. BYU, they cut out the masturbation page from the new book in the bookstore that talked about masturbation. So, you know they didn't talk about gay issues when I was there. In '72, I graduated. Barely. No, I graduated. But anyway, to me, it's a civil rights issue. And saying that the population of the world would go down, God, in some situations, that may be good. I know these same-sex couples adopt a lot of children. I run residential treatment centers. I'm not just bullshitting you, okay? I've been with orphans. I've been with abused children. I've been with children that have been locked in a closet. I had one little boy, Ronald. He'd been locked in a closet, I think, 3 years when I got him. And I've had other, God, his name slips me, but he was 8 years old, and he was beaten with a light cord on the bottom of his feet by his parents because he was black and you couldn't see the, basically, the black and blue. It didn't show on the bottom of his feet. So, I think for those people to adopt regular heterosexual children, if I had a gay man and his friend raise me, I think I'd still like vaginas. I don't know, but I don't think anybody can go, come on over here in the bathroom and let me show you something. Oh, hey, why do you have a vagina? I'm not really too interested. To try to believe that the heterosexual children are going to be like their own parents, I think is silly. Now, there is a constant statistic, and this is what I'm going to bring up now. 7%, roughly 7%, of every country has same-sex couples. Homosexuality is in 7% of every country. I don't care if it's Russia, I don't care if it's Argentina, I don't care if it's Cuba, I don't care if it's Canada or the United States. Now, I know something about statistics. That is a random sampling, and that makes me believe it is born that way. Now, there is another gray area. There could be another maybe 4, maybe even 7% that could be bisexual. Now, those people can be influenced. They may want to go more comfortably here or comfortably here. I don't think there's 1%, maybe 2% that are totally heterosexual, and you could show them movies and talk to them and brainwash them into being gay. I just don't believe it. I'm sorry. Monson knows this. Monson was head of the institute down there at BYU, and he was in charge of the erections. And he brought in the gay BYU students, and he treated them to an electrical stimulation to get rid of the erections. It didn't work. And about 10 or 12% of those people committed suicide. So the Mormon Church and their prophet knows. They're born that way. And to persecute them and to make fun of them, they can't get a job, they can't share medical policies, etc. They should be subject to the same support and divorce laws, alimony or child support. I don't see any difference between a man and a woman or two women and a man. Two women and a man, now that's a good idea. I do see a difference. So anyway, what people do when they shut their bedroom doors isn't my business. Now, if you want to swing on the trapeze in your room, and you've got mirrors that may come off in an earthquake, that's why I don't put them on, up on the ceiling, and you engage in your own sexual fantasies. You want to dress up like a cowboy or a cowgirl. Heterosexuals can do whatever they want in the bedroom. Nobody else knows anything about that. Well, except the bishop. If you masturbate, he'll ask that question on a temple recommend, and he'll know you dress up like a cowboy. So the point is this, and the Mormons never get the point. They'll say, oh, what's that say for? Why is he wearing that white You know, it's the diversion tactics. They never talk to the principal or to the subject. So what happens with homosexual couples is extremely varied. I mean, I know couples that they have sex 3 times a day. I know other couples that have had sex once a year. I know some couples that don't have sex at all. It's a platonic marriage. So why does that hurt me? They're not going to have children. And you know something? I've never seen a homosexual war. What are they going to dance on your face, choreograph your arms, you know, pull your pants off you? I don't know. There seem to be very gentle people who obey the law. Now, in every group, you're going to have the radical ends where, you know, you're going to have inappropriate behavior, whether it's homosexual or it's heterosexual. But the main body of the gay community, from what I've seen, take very good care of their children. They adopt children. They don't have children of their own, with their own, you know, egg and sperm. But I'm not noticing that the population has gone down. Now, the Mormons especially have said if you approve same-sex marriages, the earth will go to hell. Well, I think we have 8 states now, when I'm recording this, that you can get married anytime you want to anybody you want. I haven't seen Vermont or New Hampshire, Boston, whatever states they were. I haven't seen the breakdown of those states. So, you know, it's just panic. It's something that's different, and it's something that most people don't do, or some people find it disgusting, but I know some people that find heterosexual extremely disgusting. So what the hell is the big deal? It's a matter of civil rights. And I've seen the blacks go through it. I've seen the ERA and women go through it with the Mormon Church. And I hope I live long enough to see the first gay couple married in a Mormon temple, if the church lasts that long. Thank you.